All right, let's dive right in. We're going to uncover a secret structure hidden deep inside your spine. It's something you've probably never even heard of, but it could be the key to understanding everything from your back's amazing flexibility to your nagging chronic pain.
So, what if I told you there's a powerful elastic band buried deep inside your spine? I mean, it's this unsung hero, right? It gives your back its spring, but it can also turn on you, thickening and hardening, until it becomes a serious source of pain. So, what is this thing? Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll meet the spine's yellow ligament. Then, we'll check out its superpower. It's a real elastic marvel. After that, we'll see what happens when good ligaments go bad. And finally, we'll get the surgical perspective on how doctors deal with it.
All right, let's get to it. First up, our hero's introduction, the spine's yellow ligament.
You know, the human spine is it's a masterpiece of engineering. Now, I know there's a lot going on in this image, but don't get bogged down in the labels. Just appreciate this incredible, complex stack of bones and flexible ligaments. Our story, it's happening deep inside this thing.
And there they are. See them? Tucked away inside the spinal canal? Those are the Ligamenta flava. That's just the fancy plural name for our hero, the Ligamentum Flavum.
You know, the name itself gives us a huge clue about what's going on. Ligamentum Flavum, that's just Latin for, you guessed it, yellow ligament. And the reason it's yellow is actually pretty cool. It's because it is absolutely packed with yellow elastin fibers. And those fibers, that's the secret to its amazing stretchiness. So where exactly is this thing hiding? Well, it's a paired ligament, so there are two of them, and they connect the bony arches of your vertebrae, one to the next. It basically forms a chain that runs all the way from the very top of your neck, C1, C2, right down to the base of your spine at L5, S1. And here's something important. It's thickest in your lower back, the lumbar region, which makes sense because that's where we put a ton of stress. Okay, now we get to the really cool part. Let's talk about this ligament's superpower. It truly is an elastic marvel.
This quote nails it perfectly. Like rubber bands, they resist tensile forces but buckle under compression. I mean, just think about that for a second. It's like a rubber band, right? It's designed to be stretched and then spring back into place, but it does not like being squished. And that little detail, that's going to be super important later on.
So what's the secret sauce? What makes it so special? It's this number right here, 80%. This ligament is made of a staggering 80% elastic fiber. Just to put that into perspective for you, that is the highest concentration of elastin in any ligament in your entire body. No wonder it's so stretchy.
And what does all that elastin get you in the real world? Well, it gives the ligament this amazing ability. It can stretch up to 35% longer than its resting length every time you bend forward. That is a huge amount of give. It's what allows your spine to move so freely.
Okay, so what is its actual job? What does it do all day? Well, first off, it lets you move smoothly, with very little resistance. Second, it's a huge help in straightening your spine back up when you bend over. Third, it's always under a little bit of tension, kind of like a loaded spring, which gives your spine constant stability. And last but not least, it protects your spine by fighting against forces that could stretch it too far.
But you know, every hero's story has a twist, right? A vulnerability, a tragic flaw. And for our ligament, this is where things start to go wrong. This is the part of the story we call when good ligaments go bad. So let's look at this. It's like a tale of two ligaments. On one hand, you have the healthy one, 80% elastin, flexible, does its job perfectly. But then, with age, with wear and tear, it starts to degenerate. Stiff collagen fibers start to take over from the stretchy elastin, and what's the result? The ligament gets thick, it gets stiff, and it gets really prone to damage.
And this diagram shows you exactly what we're talking about. The technical term for this whole process is hypertrophy, which is really just a fancy way of saying it's thickening up. And in really bad cases, it can even ossify. I mean, it literally starts turning into bone. It completely loses that springiness and just becomes this rigid, bulky thing. So all this thickening leads directly to a really serious condition called spinal stenosis. Stenosis just means a narrowing of a passageway. And here, we're talking about the spinal canal itself getting narrower. And a thickened ligamentum flavum, it's one of the main culprits.
And why is that such a big deal? Well, because as that ligament gets thicker and bulges into the spinal canal, it starts to crowd and even press on the spinal cord and all those delicate nerve roots. And that compression, that's a super common reason for chronic back pain, for sciatica, for that numbness or weakness you might feel in your legs.
So, the big question is, how do you fix it? And that brings us to our final section, the surgical perspective.
This is how the conflict gets resolved.
Okay, let's switch things up. This is not a drawing. This is the real deal. This is what a surgeon actually sees through a microscope during the procedure. Right there in the middle, that yellowish tissue, that's our ligamentum flavum. And you can really see how it's thickened up and is just crowding the space, putting all that pressure on the nerves.
The surgery to fix this is called a decompression, and it pretty much breaks down into 4 main steps. So, step 1, the surgeon gets in there and exposes the bones of the spine. Step 2, they very, very carefully separate that thickened ligament from the dura. That's the delicate layer that protects your spinal cord. Step 3, they remove the overgrown part of the ligament that's causing all the trouble. And finally, step 4, they double-check everything to make sure the nerve roots are totally free and no longer being squeezed.
Now, this surgery is usually very effective, but like any procedure, it's not without risks. Specifically for surgeries in the neck or the cervical spine, there's about a 5 to 15% chance of a complication called transient C5 palsy. Basically, it causes temporary weakness in a shoulder muscle. It's definitely a key risk that doctors and patients need to talk about.
So, we've come full circle. This small, yellow ligament that most people have never heard of, it's both a hero and a villain. It's an absolutely crucial ally for a healthy, flexible spine, but it can also become a major source of really debilitating pain. Which kind of leaves us with one final thought, right? Could the secret to understanding your back pain be hidden in this one little ligament?